Starting on Upwork as a complete beginner is very challenging. First, you are starting a competition with thousands of experienced freelancers, not to mention that you are starting with a lot of disadvantages. If you are just getting started, you are starting with 0 past client reviews, while the other freelancers that you are going to start competing with, they have a lot of past client reviews. But there is one good news, and that is everyone started from 0, just like you. And so in this video, I'm going to give you 4 tips from my own personal experience that are going to help you get started right and ultimately find your first client faster. Okay, the very first tip is present yourself right from the beginning. Because one mistake many new beginners to Upwork make is they set up their profile wrong, or they have a wrong profile, and that is what is going to prevent you from finding your first client fast. That is why from the beginning, try as much as possible to set up your profile right. And one thing you can do is first make sure your about section you write your about section correctly. First is make sure you avoid any grammatical error. Make sure there is no grammatical error anywhere in your profile. You can use a software like Grammarly. Grammarly is free to use. You can simply create an account in Grammarly if you don't have an account, and whatever text you have on your profile, make sure you proofread in Grammarly and it is correct and right. There are no grammatical error, no misspellings or anything on your profile. Another thing also to avoid is you try as much as possible to avoid using AI like ChatGPT to write your about section, because if you use AI to write your about section, it is going to sound, first it is probably going to sound too fancy with too many words that aren't common, words that people doesn't normally use in a conversation, and it might end up being too long so that people will not even have time to sit and read all your about information. Make sure you write your about information short, straight to the point, and using the easy common language that people normally use in a conversation. This is very important in presenting yourself, because if I am reading your about section and there are a lot of grammatical errors or misspellings, that is one way to convince me that you are not professional, especially if I'm looking for someone to do something like content writing. There is no way I'm going to hire a content writer if there are grammatical errors in their about section. Another thing also to take care of is make sure you have the right profile image. A good practice is to have a nice picture that shows clearly your smiling face with not too much noise in the background. And one thing to avoid is try to avoid using a group picture and cut yourself out of a group picture, because that generally doesn't look good. So try as much as possible to have a professional picture that will clearly show your smiling face without buildings or trees or other people in the background. And another thing you can do to present yourself right is have some work sample in your portfolio section, because portfolio is what will even encourage your potential client to send you a message. If you start sending proposals to potential client, the first thing they are going to do is they are going to check out your profile, and when they check out your profile, they are going to check out the portfolio section. If you have some portfolios, they are going to check it out. If they like what you have in your portfolio, then there is a very good chance they will send you a message. So that is why make sure you have something in your portfolio section. And even though you are a beginner, you haven't worked for anyone previously, so you don't have past work to add in your portfolio section, what you shall do is you shall create a project as if a client hire you to do the work for them, and then you include it in your portfolio section. If you are a content writer, write some content and include it in your portfolio section. If you are a data entry VA, create some data file, Google Sheet file or Excel, whatever you do, create some sample and add it over there. If you are a graphic designer, that is even better. Create some nice graphic and add them in your portfolio section. The key point is whatever you offer, try to make the best version possible and add it in your portfolio section, because that is what is going to convince your potential client to send you a message. Because generally most client on Upwork or any other freelancing services, they don't care about your education. They don't care about employment, your employment history. The only thing they care about is your capability, what you can do for them. That is why your portfolio section is the most important part of your profile. Make sure you have a sample that is going to be attractive enough for your potential client to send you a message. Okay, the second tip is use your free connect wisely. The moment you set up your new account on Upwork, they are going to give you 50 free connect. And those connect is what you are going to use to apply for jobs. Some jobs on Upwork require 8 connect, some require 12, some require 16, some jobs even require more than that. So for example, if I have 50 free connect, I apply for a job that requires 12 connect, I will have 38 connect left. So use your connect wisely. The goal is to try as much as possible to find your first client with that 50 free connect, because if you exhaust this 50 free connect, you will have to buy connect in order to apply for more jobs. And how can you use 50 free connect wisely? The way to do this is to only apply for jobs that you have a high chance of getting. If you just apply for jobs randomly, then you are just going to exhaust your pre-connect without finding your first client. And a good practice is, first, as a complete beginner, only apply to jobs that is a client specify they are looking for a beginner. When a client posts a project on Upwork, they can specify whether they are looking for a beginner, intermediate, or expert. So make sure you apply to clients who are looking for a beginner, entry level. Entry level or beginner is the same thing, because this will increase your chances of getting the job, because the client is already looking for a beginner and you are most likely going to be competing with beginners, compared to if you apply for a job that the client is looking for intermediate or expert. You are going to be competing with expert and intermediate freelancers. Another thing also is, make sure before you apply to any job, you can do the job. And the way to make sure this is, you just read the job description that the client provided. You check the requirement section and make sure you meet their requirement. And also make sure you meet any special requirement that the client has, because if you scroll to the bottom of the job posting, you will see any extra requirements such as a location or language requirement or any specific badge, because some clients will specify that they are looking to hire someone who has maybe 80% job success score. And if you haven't done any work on Upwork, you don't have any job success score. And some clients will say they want a freelancer in a specific country or a freelancer who speaks specific language. So make sure you meet all the requirements before you send your proposal, so that to avoid wasting your connect and your time. Okay, the next step is be aggressive when you are just getting started. Be aggressive in looking for clients. And there are 2 ways to be aggressive. The first one is check Upwork regularly, every day. Check Upwork multiple times. If you can check every hour, check every hour, so that the moment the client posts the project, you are among the first few that submit your proposal. This will increase your chances of getting viewed by the client, because if you send your proposal, if you are maybe the 3rd person to send your proposal to the client, they might probably review your proposal before the proposal number reach 50. So try to be aggressive in sending your proposal on Upwork. And the other way to be aggressive is go up Upwork. Don't just limit yourself to Upwork. Go somewhere else and look for clients every single day. Go to Fiverr, go to freelancer.com, check Facebook, do cold outreach, do whatever you need to do to be aggressive in finding your first client, because finding your first client is always the hardest challenge. Okay, the next step is value yourself from the beginning. Just because you have 0 client reviews, you are just getting started, don't let a client dictate your rate. Value yourself from the beginning, because one thing to know is, if you go after a client who is looking for the cheapest freelancer, you might end up having a client that will keep giving you a hard time. Because based on my own personal experience, usually the client who are looking for quality over the money they pay the freelancer, they are more often than not the best clients to work with, compared to if you work with someone who is willing to pay only like $3 per hour. They will most likely end up micromanaging you, they will end up not respecting your time, and they will end up constantly giving you unrealistic expectation while taking out all your time and paying you something like $3 per hour. So make sure you value yourself from the beginning. If you value yourself from the beginning, you set your rate and you go after the right client who are looking for quality, the right client who are going to respect your time, because this is going to help you in the long run. Because if you find a client that respects your time, respect the value that you provide for them, then you can work with them for a very long time. While they respect you, you respect them, you provide value, they provide you with money. Okay, so those are the 4 tips that I believe are going to help you find your first client fast. Next, you can watch this video to learn some of the most common mistakes beginners make and how you can avoid those mistakes, so that finding your first client is going to be much easier. If you find the video helpful, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next one.